cheeky little bounce. Oh, well done. Runs towards goal. It's a chance. It's as good as you'll ever see. Oh, well done, Sauce. Hey, you like Pez? From the boundary line.
Hello and welcome to Behind the Boundary podcast. I'm your host Pez. I'm here with Sauce, and from the first time ever, I think, on a Saturday morning.
Yeah, I thought you were going to intro more, Pez. Welcome.
I'm just shocked I'm here on a Saturday morning.
We've done it one other time, but we were really scrounging around, and it was I think a Friday night. We had something happen at work, but one of those things where you just have to record and be flexible, and it's a shame that. It's a shame that we weren't able to get on Thursday night, Pez, because, the odds for my best bet this week, and that's Carlton for the premiership, has come into $9. So it's
Carlton fans are up and about after last night.
Bloody hell.
Very good performance after going 2 goals down early. So we'll take that as a win for the Blues. We didn't have anything out on social media, but we did get a lot of DMs and a lot of personal messages saying no pod this week, boys.
Well, I've only just flown back from my holiday because I was my retirement fund after last week. So we're already sitting about 96 units. Pez, not about. We're sitting 96 units, and after last week, I thought I might have a little bit of a holiday, just take some of that profit and jet away. But no, thanks to the fans for reaching out, and when work calls, Pez, I'll come back to the pod.
You come back. You've actually forced me out here on a Saturday morning. Not too happy about it, but we'll get into a quick recap of last week.
Yeah, we will, Pez. You could have given me a little bit more of an intro here. Here we go. Bets.
You've got to be on the ball here for Saturday, Sauce. What are you doing?
It's the weekend. I'm not meant to worky.
How does it end? We don't know. They've kind of lost, but they've won as well.
All right, just very quickly, round 19 for myself, Sauce. I thought I had a ripper until I looked at your little bet slip there. But Carlton over 115.5 points. They had 59 points at halftime. That was one of the quarter time. Sorry, that was one of the easiest watches ever. And my little one I put out on Sunday on Twitter, Riccardi for 2+ goals, anytime goal scorer, and GWS plus 40.5 was looking dead in the water at 3/4 time. But Riccardi came out, kicked 2 quick goals in the 4th quarter, and saluted there. Thank you very much. I profited 4.6 units for the round, which takes my season tally to 29.66 units. So back on track, and I thought I had a stellar season, and then I scroll across and I see your one.
Pez, you have had a stellar season. You've had a great season, but last week I was a little bit worried that I was going to be, we talked at the end of the podcast last week how we were, we could possibly throw our bank in there and come out. So I thought, I better support Pez as well. And I pulled out a massive round, and looking through, I don't know where my best bet is. I loved my Friday night bet, that saluted with a sneaky Dyson Heppel correction the next day. So I was very happy with that one at $3.10 for 2 units. The Isaac, my Rankine one that I was talking about there, and small forwards against the D's, ranking for 3 goals, and McAdams anytime goal scorer, $6.60. Didn't mind that as well. But Pez, what I like best is I will listen back to the podcast on the way here just to see what sort of banter I could get with you. And the St Kilda versus North Melbourne game, that was my favourite bet of the round. The under 158, the under 150, and the under 140. Pez, you could have gone down as low as the under 131 at about $7. But total from that one was about $8 in total, and I had 1 unit on each of those. So I was loving that with a massive, what's that, 5 units in profit just on that?
Yeah, you do the math.
Yeah, I'm not going to, because I'm all mathed out with looking at the season total. As I said, 21 units from that round, Pez. But for the whole season, 2023, sitting at round 20, 147 units out there, and a profit loss, Pez. No, there's no such thing as a loss. 66.9 units, Pez, an ROI of 45. And for the season combined, Pez, we are 4 units shy of hitting the ton, the big Donald Bradman ton. Oh, it's good. It's good at round 20, Pez.
Well, round 20, 19 rounds through, you're averaging well over 3 units profit per round, which is quite ridiculous when you think about it. And backing up on season 2022 when we had a stellar 120 unit profit, I think. So we're actually mowing it down because we got 25 profits last week because we've said, how are we going to make 50 units in the last 5 weeks and finals? Well, there's a 25 unit round for you. There's a good start. So
we'll be down. We threw our quota by the end of this round, Pez. But what it's not all about the units, Pez. It's about accountability, because we're putting this stuff out early in the week. We're putting it up on Twitter. We're putting out our TikTok videos well before the actual the event happens, and we build on accountability. And I sent you a screenshot during the week of some other podcasts out there and what their profit losses are, and we're starting to move the market, Pez, because a lot of podcasts that do their sports betting are starting to now put us some accountability up.
Well, it's good. I like to see it. I like to see people be accountable, and when you get the little comments happening, the best place to hear the bets is on the podcast, usually on a Thursday night, Sauce, but we couldn't do it unfortunately this week. So Saturday we'll put our bets out there, but we didn't have any bets for last night, so we're not just going to say we put a bet on Carlton to win. That's just
I had a exact winning margin 16.
Oh, that's good. So you're up $4 million profits.
No, but as we say on Twitter, and we get people DM us all the time about where can we find the bets. You can get all the insight, the trends, the recommendations, the leans on the podcast. So jump on, make sure you listen, and if you know, rather than wait for us to put out on Twitter, because obviously we live busy lives, and we're not always going to be putting it out on Twitter. The podcast is where you can get all the information. It's coming out late today, but there is hopefully a bit of value in our bet slip.
The fact that the size of the bets was relatively small.
Now Bex with an opportunity about 50 metres out.
I was with a mate, and we were getting sort of ready to leave, and he said, I think I'm going to whack 10 on Maxi. Do you want some as well? And I said,
Oh, yes! Yes! Yes!
And I don't even know if I push the specials button, Pez, because it seems like everyone has gotten a little tight in the sphincter, and there's not many specials out there, but we'll go through it anyway.
Cyril takes a special and goes bang!
Bit of a spray at sports bet, no little, not even a little Friday night.
Yeah, I mean, that's the main reason we didn't have a bet out last night.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. You wouldn't do little same game multis and things if you don't have a promo, because there's just no value in it. In the long term, it's not mathematically viable. So Bluebet have the 12 up special if you want to take advantage of that this week. Lads have the 3+ leg same game multi, one per day, and Tab still tighten the sphincter as well with a little 4+ leg same game multi. So
tighten the sphincter a little different way, haven't they?
Yeah. So still put it out there, but just with a 4+. They knew that Sportsbet were going the other way. So there's a few little things out there, not a lot though. So we'll just pop down any bets that we like from the round. Who have we got today on Saturday?
We've got the Geelong Cats taking on Fremantle straight out, Pez. $1.05 favourites are the Cats. Fremantle $9.50 outside, which is surprising because they've had some recent and historical success, not only at Alphabet Stadium but against Geelong. -47.5 is the line, over under 168.5. Pez, this game starts in almost a couple hours. I'm a bit disappointed Sportsbet don't have the disposal markets out yet. What are you looking for in this game?
That's what I was looking for, just to even have a look, not even to put a bet out. Because we were recording Saturday morning, and I was like, I won't look at my bets on Friday night. I'll wait till the morning, because surely companies will have it out, and no one has anything out except for Bet365. But Geelong Fremantle, I don't love the head-to-head. I don't want to risk anything on the line, because this could be a runaway game. But then, with the line betting, when underdogs come back at the end, the other team's resting. We are getting close to finals. Chris Scott's done that before, where he doesn't put the accelerator down all the way for 4 quarters. So I'm not looking anywhere with this game, and there's no bet for me.
I'm really liking Geelong in this one. I think Geelong have hit some form. I think they really took it to Brisbane last week. They were very inaccurate in front of goal. They probably could have made a better run at it if they had saluted in front of goal. But going up to Brisbane at the Gabba and only go away from a scoring shot loss is quite decent. So coming up against Fremantle, their season's done, and we talked about it last week how they against Sydney. Now they're travelling from Perth to Geelong, and we know what the Cats do at Alphabet Stadium. Pez, the line in this one is 47.5, and you look at that line, and you think, geez, that's a lot, 47.5. But then if you do the maths with the Cats, and the last 82 games at Alphabet Stadium, 28.5 is their winning margin. So you still sort of lean towards 47's a lot. 56 times they've beaten the line, 69% of the time. Very nice that they're beating the line at GMHBA Stadium. Their average when they beat the line is by 28 points. They beat the line on average. 19 times since 2014, the line has been over 39.5 pairs, and they are 15 out of 19. 15 out of 19, they have beaten a plus 40 basically line. And when the line is over 39.5, They beat that by an average of 37 points, Pez. So when they go hard, they go hard. So for me, I'm all over Geelong in this one. 2 units. I'm going on just the standard line, 47.5 at $1.80. And then I've gone half a unit pairs on, I'm just trying to find my notes, on 61.5, 265.
Minus 61.5.
Minus 61.5. And then minus 70.5. Oh, you $3.90. So I've gone those extra two. Only one of those gets up and I cover my other unit. But I like Geelong big in this one. Fremantle, they're tired. They're coming across. Their season is done. You know, Geelong's the hardest trip in, you know, especially for an interstate side. I'm all over the Cats in this one.
Well, they've got to fly to Melbourne and then they've got to catch a bus down there.
Yeah, down the highway
as well. It's a bit tiring on the bus scrolling on Instagram or whatever they're doing. But we got to go the other way and we've got to go to Ballarat.
Yeah, so imagine travelling from there and then you drive past Geelong, you're like, oh, I've got another 45 minutes out the other way. I mean, I don't know why you'd be going past Geelong that way, but Western Bulldogs taking on GWS, as you alluded to, Pez, at Mars Stadium, $1.46, 267. Outsiders are the Giants. Minus 13.5 is the line, over under 155.
Yeah, you'd think the ground gives the Bulldogs the edge because they're experienced there, but the GWS Giants, they are coming something shocking. It's amazing that they're in contention for finals after losing to West Coast in round 2, the only team to lose to West Coast. A couple of big outs with Ed Richards going out. I don't love the inclusion of Rory Lobb for the Bulldogs because I think Harmis last week, he's a younger type player. He does impress, and I think the main targets are Norton and Ugelhagen, and with Lobb in there, he's obviously in there as a backup ruck to English, but I think English can ruck 80% of the time, and you can find other avenues to goal. So Rory Lobb, I'm a bit confused about, and GWS they're fielding a pretty strong team. They've got some very good players. It will depend on whether it's not really contained the ground down at Mars Stadium. They've got one little grandstand there, and it can be very unpredictable. And at $1.46, I'm not going to back the Doggies because stranger things happen, and the Giants, they seem to come together when they travel down to strange towns like Geelong.
Yeah, I mean, they're the team this year that has travelled the most, you know, selling half of their home games, playing between Manuka and, you know, Canberra, and they go up to Darwin, and they're the most travelled side in the AFL, and their form over the last 6 weeks, or last 7 weeks, has been that of a top 8 side. So you look at the two teams evenly matched, you'd probably say on paper in recent form, but the Mars Stadium throws a massive spanner in the works because, you know, traditionally I know that you've gone the under with at this stadium, but last time it went well over. Like the wind there is unpredictable because of that, as you said, that small stand there, you don't know which way it's going to go. I mean, it's going to be cold, so you'd say that the pill probably isn't going to travel as far. You know, normally I'd be targeting possessions in this game, Pez, but I would recommend to all punters to steer clear for this because it's just too many unpredictable and things that you can't actually predict because of the stats, the location, the weather, the travel. Like it's
And if you're looking for goal scorers, it's too hard because you might get your player have 4 or 5 shots at goal and only kick 1 or 2. So that is quite difficult. And last time I did back the unders. I backed the Western Bulldogs unders.
Yeah, you did actually.
It actually got up just by the hook last time, so that was good.
And there's a good point you raised about the goal kickers, Pez. If you're looking for goal scorers in this, look for guys out the back. Look for your Cody Waitman out the back. Look for Toby Green because they're going to try to get as close as they can to goal.
Little Jeremy Cameron over the top special.
Rory Lobb is such an interesting inclusion considering he does his best work from outside 40, and that's just not going to suit his conditions here.
Yeah, well, I don't know what they're going to do. They're going to play one of those guys down back. It's just a little bit strange. But we come to the next game, and unfortunate that one of my favourite players confirmed ACL during the week in Ashcroft. And this game, Gold Coast versus Brisbane, is for the Marcus Ashcroft medal source.
Oh, that's a bit unfortunate, isn't it?
Yeah, bit shit timing for young Ashcroft, but hopefully he can come back and be bigger and better than ever because if he plays the way that he's played in his first year, there'll be a medal named after him in 20 years' time.
It's a real shame. You know, he's a favourite of the show, and to see him go down. But I guess what's good for Brisbane in this injury is that he was a first-year player, and there are people that will be able to sort of pick up the slack of him. You would have loved to have him for a final series, but it's
strange that he is going to be a big loss in a final series as a first-year player. That's how good this kid is.
Yeah, definitely. All right, Gold Coast Suns, $3.12. Outsiders in the Q class. Brisbane Lions, $1.35. Minus 18.5 is the line. Over under 167.5. Just see during the week, actually, before we get into this, the Brisbane Lions Twitter squad jumped on and threw a bit of a heat towards the Gold Coast.
Yeah, a bit of a fail there. Just don't
Massive fail.
don't go at the 2 expansion clubs' social media teams because they
They
are more
are bang
superior
on.
than anyone else. The little lights out for the listeners out there that don't know. They said you sleep with the lights on to the Gold Coast, and then they just put a video of the Lions' lights going out.
So
earlier
you
in the year.
worry about your stadium's lights, mate.
So massive win to the Gold Coast, and if it was Twitter, social media that was giving out the 4
1-0.
points,
1-0.
Gold Coast take the win here.
Yeah, I mean the line for that would be over under 2.5 because they are absolutely smashing it. You're right, those expansion clubs. But this one's interesting. I'm surprised with the line, Pez, in this one. Minus 18.5 is the line. The Lions have owned the Q Clash over the last since they've actually come into the competition. Gold Coast have been sort of up and down in their form the last 3 weeks. New coach, they're trying to implement a similar sort of system. They haven't really moved too many of the magnets around the board, so I'm actually surprised at the minus 8.5. I'd be definitely leaning towards that.
Yeah, season's definitely on the line for the Gold Coast here, sitting on 32 points, and even if they win this one, they're not in the 8 after this round. But the more interesting one is Brisbane. They can nearly lock up a top 4 finish, which is great for our futures bets, their source
14.5
as well. So a win would be great for us for the pod, but they can go over Port Adelaide before Port Adelaide's game tonight, obviously, and anything can happen in a showdown, as we know. So I'm all over Brisbane to take this one out. A nice day in the afternoon up at HBS. I've just got Brisbane Lions. I know I don't go on this often anymore, but wire to wire to lead it every quarter. So they just got to win that first quarter and then maintain it and win the game. I've just put that together on lads with Brisbane race to 50. Because it doesn't change the odds at all. So I'll just go race to 50 and then Brisbane to win. And that's $2.30. So wire to wire, $2.30 by itself. Add those other 2 legs in. So if Brisbane end up winning and get first to 50, but they don't win the first quarter and they don't win everything,
a little bit of insurance.
I'll get the bonus
Who's
back.
that with, sorry?
That's with lads.
Lads.
So we'll lock that in for a couple of units there.
Yeah, I don't mind that. The wire-to-wire market's such a tough one. But if you look at Brisbane, they're a great first quarter team, and obviously once they get the lead against a team, as you said, that sort of their season is on dangling. But Brisbane have so much more to play for with a top 4 spot, and Port Adelaide dropping the last 2 definitely opens up a home final potential for the Lions, and they'll be licking their lips at that one. So, all right, let's get on to Essendon taking on Sydney. 240 outsiders, the Bombers, $1.55. Favourites, the Swans, minus 9.5 is the line, over under 170.5. Pez, Essendon were quite disappointing last week against the Doggies. They're, again, similar to the Collingwood and the Carlton fans. They were up and about last week, but really disappointing, I thought, against the Dogs. The Dogs probably shouldn't have won it by as comfortably as they did and easy as they did, but
They just laid down.
super disappointing.
Stringer looked
He looked
unmoved.
cooked.
He couldn't move up forward, so that wasn't very good for the Bombers there. I haven't heard anything on social media, so hashtag done nothing wrong there, Fincer. I still don't hear anything from the Bombers. We'll go from there and keep it going. 36 points, a must-win for the Bombers, you'd think, to try and stay in touch with the 8. But the Swans coming down, they have struggled at Marvel against North Melbourne earlier in the year, but as we know over the past few weeks, they've gotten bodies back. They've been a lot stronger, the Swans, and I think they could get the job done here. They started around even money earlier in the week, and punters have just gone all over Sydney, so there's no value in it for me. I'll just sit by, check the scores after the game, and see who won, and hopefully it's the Swans.
Yeah, I was all over Sydney last week. I had 3 units on them against Fremantle, and what I like about this is that if you look at recency form, Fremantle actually played Essendon 3 weeks ago, and they absolutely smashed them by 33 points. And obviously the home deck in there had a little bit to play with it. But I like what you said about the forward just then, Stringer, how they're looking tired. They look cooked, Essendon. They look really tired and they looked flat. And I think that Sydney, they'll need to win every single game sort of leading into this. But they've hit form. They're starting to play a good brand of football. Their last month take out the Richmond game and the expected win that they should have had against Geelong. And I spoke about this last week. They're looking good. They're looking like a top 6 sort of top 8 side. I like Sydney in this one. I jumped in early on the week at $1.71. So I love the odds of that. But I also don't mind the odds of $1.90. The line, again, I jumped in earlier at the week at the 8.5. So the line for that one is pretty good. I know that the Sydney playing in Melbourne, but they do travel quite well. So hopefully they come out and get the chocolates for that one.
A big out for that one. Jordan Ridley, out injured, because he has been playing well in the back line for the Bombers. Yeah. Stringer goes out, which is probably good for the Bombers, and Jai Menzies coming in. But that Ridley loss down back, they're going to have to try and fill that somehow. They already struggled down there as it is. So
Not only there do they struggle, but they got beaten last week by the Dogs, absolutely smashed in centre clearances in that midfield. And Sydney's midfield has all come back, and they're starting to look a lot better. I know they don't dominate the clearances, but I expect them if the Dogs got on top of them last week and actually pushed forward, that could have got out of hand really quickly, and Sydney have that scoring potential to do that. So all over the Swans in that one, Pez. Getting over to, this will be an absolute cracker, Pez. The what do they call it? The Derby. Adelaide taking on...
I think they call it the Showdown, don't they?
The Showdown, that's right. The Derby's
out
Fremantle
west.
one.
Yeah.
Who cares? Anyway, Adelaide taking on Port Adelaide. This one is even results Pez wise. It's 25 wins to Port Adelaide, 26 wins to Adelaide overall, like all the Showdowns complete. So 255 outsiders the Crow, $1.50 favourites the Power, minus 12.5 is the line, over under 176.5 Pez. You've been all over the Crows at home. They start home and they start favourites in this one.
Oh, until last time with the Giants, that didn't quite work out. But they did have the 12 up against the Giants there. But Port Adelaide coming off 2 losses, top of the ladder. They put all their eggs in one basket to try and beat the Pies last week and had them down in the dumps.
They should have won that though, Pez.
They were on the canvas. And then they just got up and knocked Port Adelaide out and were able to do that. Now Adelaide, I think they're shot. They've just they've struggled too much away from home. They've been a really hyped team, but they sit 13th on the ladder. Like it's not too good. If I'm going to tip, which we do footy tipping, I'll tip the Port Adelaide to win. But I'm not putting a bet down in this Showdown, and I think it's going to be rare that I put a bet down in any Showdown. Coming forward, because it is so unpredictable.
Well, the 25 to 26 sort of thing indicates that no matter where these teams are, it's always a sort of close sort of contested game. And you're exactly right, Pez. It's not something that you probably be looking to put any money down in that contest. But the minus 12.5 is appealing, because if you look at Adelaide, they had a really big, they had two massive losses last week. Was it Lockie... what's the bloke's name? I can't even think of it. But Rankine goes down. That was huge. He was huge last time.
That looks like season ending, because that hamstring, he was done.
But we see this quite often with Adelaide, with young sides, that they come towards the business end of the season and they start to slow down. We've definitely seen that with Adelaide. There'll be a heap of hype in this one, but minus 12.5 for a team that strategically rested against against Carlton, and then last week they on paper expected score that they won by 3 or 4 goals. Minus 12.5 is probably where you'd lean, but as you said, Showdown, so no money in that one. Speaking of no money, Pez, Hawthorn taking on St Kilda, and this one I looked at the ladder and I was super surprised that St Kilda, before last night, were sitting 6th, and now they're sitting 7th. I still can't believe the way that they're playing, that they're in the 8. But Hawthorn taking on the Saints, 2.10 outsiders, the Hawks $1.72 favourite. Your Saints minus 5.5 is the line, over under 158.5.
Yeah, you think back to early in the season, and they got the Bulldogs at a really good time when the Bulldogs really struggled to start the season. So they had a couple of big wins early, and they did the same the year before. And then they've just tampered off. No Max King up forward, which didn't help them last week. So this game is huge, and the odds were kind of just in the favour of St Kilda, because Sicily absolutely dominated them last time, 42 disposals. But Ross Lyons come out during the week. He said they're going to put someone on Sicily. So where are you going to go for your disposals? I don't know if he'll get 40 odd. He might not even get 30. I think he's about $2.25 to get 30. But I wouldn't be touching Sicily in this one. I'd be looking at Blake Hardwick for 20 plus, and to put that in a little same game multi. But the one that I really like is Wanganeen Miller for St Kilda. No Bradley Hill after the injury last week. He's $1.22 for 20 on Sportsbet if you wanted to put him in a same game multi if you've got a special somewhere. But he's $1.92 for 25, which tells me that his line, which isn't out yet, is going to be around 24.5. So I'm going to go over 24.5 or to get 25 plus at $1.92 on Sportsbet, and hope that he just cleans up round half back. No Brad Hill means they'll be looking for him more. They've already been doing that in the past month of footy, and I think they run everything through him. Running off the half-back line.
Okay, interesting. Tip who's going to win?
Heart Saints. It's season on the line.
Season on the line. You need this one to sort of keep the final dream alive.
If it was still $1.90, I'd be going blue bet St Kilda head-to-head. but at $1.67, I'm just leaving it alone.
It's been crunched too much.
Yeah.
I like possessions in this one. St Kilda has been documented so often this season across every platform that they give up a heap of the pill. I expect this game to go high. And if you go back and look at the games that have gone high where Hawthorn have been involved in, so North Melbourne, St Kilda last time, Brisbane high possessions, West Coast, there are four blokes that always go over 25. So Warple, Nash, Will Day and Jai Newcomb. So you talked about Sicily potentially getting that tag. Those other 4 games that we mentioned, those 4 blokes get over the 20s, over the 25s. I will put together a same game multi in that one. I did one against North Melbourne a couple of weeks ago, and that paid out huge, and I'll probably be looking to replicate that exact same thing. But I'd be mindful of Sicily because there will be some work put into it, as you alluded to. That'll get me odds about $3.30, but I'm waiting till Sunday. Sportsbet have their bet tokens, their bet return tokens, so I'll chuck it on there, and might even chuck in some of the disposal markets when they finally come out at 5 minutes to the starting time. But disposals in that one all over.
Twitter at Behind the Bound to see what Sauce puts together for Sunday. And moving on to Richmond and Melbourne.
Yeah, this is an interesting game, this one, the odds, because Richmond out of the 8 playing a top 4 side, $1.54 favourites are the D's, 2.44 outsiders, the Tigers. The over-under in this one, Pez, is $1.67. It's 167.5 and the line -9.5. Melbourne started to change their football a little bit. They've come a lot more high scoring. The last 2 weeks have been, they've really, as we talked about on the podcast, a week before the game, that Melksham would go into that forward line and kick a couple of goals, and we said that their forward line is starting to connect. But they're really starting to turn their season around at the right time. They've been top 4 side pretty much all year, but not convincingly. But this restructure of that forward line, Pez, and that more high scoring and more offensive attack, really, really primed for finals.
Definitely, and this game is a must-win for Melbourne. You've got to have a look at it. Before I talk about my bet, an interesting one was most goals Group 2 on Sportsbet. If you have a look at most goals Group 2, there's only 3 players in it. Jack Riewoldt, Shea Bolton and Dustin Martin. Only 3 Richmond players. And I just couldn't believe my eyes because I hadn't seen anything like that before. So it's just out of the 3 of them. Riewoldt 235, Bolton 245 and Martin 295. So I found that very, very interesting. With Petty and May down back, maybe they think, Riewoldt might get the tag, but people throw money on Riewoldt and you got to try and pick the right one. So not betting on that, but I just wanted to point that out to the punters because that was a little bit interesting. Where I'll be looking for is some small forwards for Melbourne. There's
Hang on, wait. You're meant to put this bet on after the game has played.
I'll wait till Sunday night and then I'll put something out. Whoever kicks 2 goals.
So I'm very. I know I've made a couple of references to it. I'm very annoyed that someone jumped on TikTok and had a go at us about putting bets on after.
Yeah, because we did put our first video up, which was after the fact. The media manager wanted to put something together with some actual footage from the games.
Yeah, they did well, the media manager, that one.
Yeah,
looked good.
Did well, the young
Go
fella.
on TikTok, the young fella. TikTok, check it out.
TikTok up Behind the Bound. So they put that out there, and you weren't too happy with one of the comments, and the media manager responded back, and then I think the guy deleted his comment, and which deleted our comment, and then must have blocked us. So no good there. But because I pick it. He's $1.78 for 2 goals. Petrarca's $1.85. Van Ruin, not going to touch him. Malcolm, $2.30. And Cade Chandler even at $2.85. And if you're really cheeky, Alex Neil-Bullen at $4.75, who might be able to sneak in a couple there. So it's between Melksham and Pickett for 2 goals each. Melksham's the value at $2.30. He just pops up in the right spots there. So I'll be putting something down on Melksham around that 2.30 mark to kick 2 goals.
Richmond are a really tough side with small forwards. Like, you've obviously got Pickett. Pickett, I mean, that's great value at $5.60 for him for 2 goals. And the $1.85 is pretty good value as well. But I'm really... They're hard because they really do have that 3-prong attack of Bolton, Martin and Riewoldt. And Martin definitely playing a lot more forward. I'd probably be looking for some of your midfielders in this one. So like Tim Taranto to kick a goal, $1.47 is not too bad. Also looking at Hopper at $2.10 to kick a goal. But, anywhere I'm leaning... Marlon Pickett at $1.85. You've got a bonus bet. Him for 2 goals at $5.60 is absolutely... It's pretty crazy money, actually, when you look at that forward line. But historically, the last couple of weeks, that's all the blokes that have been kicking goals. So that's where the money's at. All right.
So you're looking at Richmond, yeah? Mm-hmm. You're talking about Richmond?
Small forwards, Richmond. Yep. No, because that's what I said last week about, you were talking obviously that forward line, but then to counter that I was talking last week that you look at Melbourne and the defensive structure that they have.
They have to run through 50
have to run.
Midfielders do.
The smaller forwards, top up. We saw McAdams last week. We saw Rankine the week before. I mean, I went through on the stats last week, listened to the pod last week, and you hear all the last couple of weeks of them kicking 2 or more goals. But I like the Richmond small forwards in that one, but expect Melbourne to win. So, $1.54. Take that one.
Up these.
All right, let's go on to a game that's less enthused for Pez. West Coast, $2.28, and North Melbourne travelling over to SBS Stadium, $1.60 favourites.
Been crunched.
Absolutely crunched.
West Coast started favourites earlier in the week. I saw North Melbourne for $2.10.
Yeah, $2.10 you said. Yeah, -7.5 is the line. Crazy. It's so crazy. Over under 170.5 pairs. I don't understand. I mean, you can probably hypothesize why the odds have changed, and obviously the money's come in, but I don't understand this one. West Coast at home, they still get 40,000 members there. They'll be both of these teams would have had this circled since round 3, last time that they played, looking for a win.
They've got to. This is hard. Jai Simpkin comes into the team, but they are travelling, a young side. They've been struggling. How many losses in a row? 17 losses in a row. So they're not travelling too well. West Coast, they lose Luke Shuey, but they lose players every week. And are they going to win? Is Simpson coaching for his job? Are they going to actually, sack him after this game if they lose it? Brett Ratton, it needs a win. If he wants to be another caretaker somewhere else next year or the year after, he needs a win here against these Eagles.
Not a caretaker. Just you're not even giving him a job. If you want another caretaking job.
He's got to get in as an assistant coach and get a caretaker gig elsewhere. West Coast will have to throw everything at this because they can't jump North Melbourne. They're a game behind as well as 18%. So West Coast have nothing to lose, not even the number 1 pick. So go hammer and tong. I'm not touching this on a twilight Sunday night. No way. Yeah,
it's such an interesting game because you'd think that North Melbourne have the edge. They've got the younger side. They're in better form, I would say. If the game was played in Melbourne, but it's not. West Coast are in an interesting spot. They haven't looked like winning all year, but they can afford to win one because their percentage is so bad. They can afford to win one. So give one back to their members. They made an interesting move last week at the selection table, resting a couple of their older guys. I mean, I'd say that they come back in. I think they were prepping them for this win, which is crazy when you think about it. But I guess I actually don't mind the odds, and I have to wait till the teams come out properly for this one. But 228 for West Coast and the +7.5. I mean, why would you ever be backing North Melbourne travelling as the away side in this modern era?
Because they're playing West Coast.
Yeah, but they're as bad as each other, realistically.
I'm happy to just not know anything about this game.
I'm steering clear in this one.
I don't mind.
And we talked before about making sure that we don't sort of close off during a game because there might be bets coming out. But Pez, there will be no bets coming out for me in this one. West Coast and North Melbourne, that game is dead.
None for me either.
Sorry, any multis and things that you're looking for?
No, there's no little special or anything there. I'll just play what I had on the pod there. So that'll be out on the spreadsheet on Twitter at Behind the Bound. And enjoy round 20 and best of luck on the punt there.
Yeah, I'm much the same, Pez. I'll probably put out a couple of live bets across the weekend, depending how I'm going, Pez. But I'd be happy not to bet this round anyway and sit on my little tower at 66 units.
Well, that's the thing, and that concludes the bet slip for this round. And speaking of missing Thursday, I actually got my second child on the way, due next Thursday. So we'll have to see what happens with
due next Friday.
Yeah, well, Thursday for other purposes, but. Don't have to go into that. Thursday, Friday, same thing.
I was going to say, you originally told me it was the 4th of August. I was
here's Sauce, not knowing
that's my birthday.
Knowing that things can change.
Oh, well, that's locked in.
Things can change. They grow a
how
little
good we've
faster
been at predicting things, Pez. I think we're going to be bang on with this.
I can't predict a birth of a child, no way. But we'll see how we go with the podcast next week.
About that, yeah, jeez.
Because I was going to use that card, and then the card was used on Thursday when we couldn't play.
And there's no chance you're having a baby and then we're recording on the Saturday morning.
There's no
chance at all.
No chance. So we'll see what happens.
Might have to phone in, Pez. I'm gonna have to. If anyone would like to, thinks they're all right at the punt, and all those people looking for tips, applications go in on Tuesday for host. All you need to do is just bring a little bit of personality. And you're already
ahead of me.
You're already ahead of Pez, that's all you have to do. So
you've just flooded the DMs there because people are going to be like, yeah, I'll jump in with the Sauce.
Hey, we get a lot of keyboard experts out there that think that they can do better. So job applications come in, show us your best bets.
But
And
they only do better after the game, and they're only keyboard warriors
So do we,
after the game.
Exactly
right. You're too dirty on that.
I'm very dirty about it.
We've been going for 6 years, and we've put out the bets before the game every single time. So you've got nothing to worry about there, and that's it. That's all there is to it. Publicly won for 6 years, not just saying we've won.
No.
It's public.
Accountability plus.
It's all out there. So
Yep.
there you go. Go and do your research if you want.
Exactly right. All right, speaking of research, while you're looking through our amazing content from the last 6 years and all of our profits, make sure you give us a 5-star review, leave a comment to help other punters find us. Jump onto our Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all the social media platforms, and
At Behind the Bound, there you go. And enjoy your Saturday of footy. I'll definitely enjoy it. Looks like a nice day out there.
It's a great day.
Been beautiful, beautiful morning. So best luck on the punt, and on Pez. Peace out.
I'm still Sauce. We'll catch up next time, guys.
I might not catch up next time. We'll see.
Now you're gone.